Super. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the last session today, or Meet the Innovators of the EIT Health Summit series. On this session, this project, Combating Childhood Obesity, a cross-kick project with Lars Mudler. Welcome. We will present the session very quickly, and I will pass the mic to Lars, and we will have a 10 minutes question and answer at the end of the Lars presentation. If you have a question, please type it into the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen, and we will ensure to answer it during the question and answer at the end. So you must ask, what is a cross-kick project? This is the EIT Health Summit series, but you may not be aware that there are other KIC, who stands for Knowledge, Innovation, Community. There are other KICs. There are 8 in total with EIT Health, that addressing different topics. Like the climate KIC was the first one, EIT Digital, EIT Food, EIT Raw Materials, EIT Energy, and the last 2 coming to the family were EIT Manufacturing and EIT Urban Mobility. And there are 2 other that are coming, that should have been coming next year, but they may be delayed with the COVID situation. So we have this cross-kick project. Essentially are activities that are joining 2 or more knowledge innovation communities. And in this particular example, it brings together EIT Health and EIT Digital to address into a 3-year program that started this year, 2020, and will finish in 2022. And it will tackle specifically the topic of childhood obesity. And the objective of this program, this 3-year program, is to implement the creation of a startup cost-effective solution that would reduce the incidence, the prevalence, but also the societal impact of child obesity in Europe. And today, to speak to us about this project is Lars Mudler, the venture creation lead. Lars is a researcher by background with a PhD in biomedical engineering. And in 2012, he founded a LifeTech group, and later on Meliora medical startup in the medical and biotech field. And he climbed up the ladder, so to speak, in different positions in this group, which is still alive, which is quite successful today. Went from the researchers that he was into business development, into sales, marketing, then external relation, finishing as a director of operations. So Lars brings to us a wealth of knowledge, of experience. And in the past 2 years, after that, the last 2 years, he joined Topstart advisory services to business in the field of strategic business development and how to secure financing. Lars today is going to talk about the project and why childhood obesity is such an important challenge to address and how they're going to tackle it. Lars, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alexis. As Alexis also said, the project title is Combating Childhood Obesity. Welcome everybody to this 3rd session today. And let's just jump right in and look at some numbers, won't we? On the left, you can see the graph of the prevalence of men and women that are overweight in the Netherlands, aged 4 years and older. You can clearly see that there is an unchanged trend, an unchanged increase in the prevalence of obesity and being overweight over the past 4 decades. And if you look at the numbers presented by WHO, you can see large percentages of adults and children that are overweight, but also large percentages of adults and children that are obese. And actually, if you add them all up, children under 5, but also children in the group from 4 to 19, it adds up to hundreds of millions of children with obesity. And if we zoom into a specific country, for instance, the UK, where the NHS very conveniently collects very valuable data for us, you can see that in 2019 alone, there were 750,000 hospital admissions where obesity was a factor, and 10 to 20K of them were children. And if you collect all those numbers and if you add them all up, 1 in 200 of obese children are admitted to hospital simply because of the fact that they are obese and in need of serious treatment. You can see also that certain countries are a little bit above average. The US, for instance, if you look at the numbers from the CDC, but most importantly, you can see here that the prevalence increases with the age of the children. And that goes to show that being obese as a child is a very large risk factor for being obese as an adult. And I guess you've all seen news items or news stories coming along to underline that COVID-19 is also more deadly in people with obesity. And that's even true if they are young. And that really underlines the importance of our project now and to do something valuable and effective at this moment in time. It shows the urgency of our project. Well, I guess we all know that being obese has an increased risk for developing other kinds of health problems, such as heart disease, or high blood pressure, or stroke, diabetes, or kidney disease. But being obese is also a risk factor for developing mental problems like depression or having a negative self-image, which is particularly prevalent among teenagers, for instance. All of that leads to an increased burden on healthcare, both in terms of costs and in terms of capacity. But I don't think a lot of people know that obesity also leads to social and emotional effects, like discrimination or stigmatization. Obese people are offered lower wages for the same job, and basically that results in an overall lower quality of life. Now, there's diets out there, there's apps, there's municipality programs, there's employer programs, and I guess we've all tried one or the other at one point of time. And aren't we also all worried that our bad or unhealthy behavior rubs off on our children, our teenagers? And that's actually why we are in this project and why I am here today also, is because our focus is really on those children, on those teenagers, because they are the healthy people of the future. And as I showed 2 slides ago, that over the past 40 years, there has been a steadily increase in the prevalence of obesity, but not only in adults, also in children. And there's also an increased percentage of these children ending up in the hospital. And there they undergo internalized treatment for 3 months up to a year. But as soon as they leave the clinic again, they are out of sight. And caregivers don't really know what's going on with their former patients. But they see a large percentage of relapse, which leads to readmission to the hospital. And that's where we find our large unmet clinical need, is these caregivers don't have tools, don't have e-health tools available to use during the inpatient part of the treatment, but definitely nothing to remain in contact with their patients in the outpatient phase of the treatment. I know that it's not just about what we eat, it's also about exercise and screen time and quality of sleep, but we are focusing now on eating behavior. And weight is really a sensitive issue in the fact that it's very difficult to talk with parents about the weight of their children, and also it's a very difficult topic to talk about with teenagers. And that, for me, it's important because it shows that it's very important how you bring this discussion into society and also how you brand your product and how you communicate with your eventual users. So all these diets, all these apps, why don't they work? That's because it's a multifactorial problem and in need of a very complete solution. And I will be happy to share with you what I learned in the past year. I think you can divide the problem into underlying problems that are about the products, that are about the business models, and that is about awareness or food literacy. Firstly, on the product side, the most important factor is that there is no focus on behavioral change. Emotions are very important, and also social situation is very important, and they are mostly not taken into consideration. And a lot of these products out there, they have no solid academic proof of their effectiveness. And if you want to change or improve your eating behavior, you first have to learn what your current eating behavior is. And that means tracking what you eat. And a lot of these products, a lot of these apps are boring or no fun, often very badly made. They're unpersonal and not personalized. It's usually a one size fits all. Importantly, all of these are quite unrewarding. Using an app in the here and now is not an incentive for losing weight in the future. The outlook on losing weight in the future is basically too far out to be an incentive for using an app in the here and now. Secondly, if we look at business models, a lot of these companies have a limited number of users and therewith a limited reach and a limited impact. It's a whole bunch of fragmented approaches out there. And one of the important factors is that if you want to do a diet or if you want to use an app, it costs you money. And that's a very big problem for a lot of people in society. Thirdly, on awareness, I think a lot of people think they eat healthy and are actually unaware that it's not so healthy what they're eating. And I also think that most people would want to eat healthy, but simply do not know how or where to start. But yeah, it is a complex thing. And there's also the notion that healthy food is more expensive than unhealthy food, but yeah, I'm not really sure that that is the case. But anyhow, it does require some form of investment to improve your eating behavior, be it time or be it costs. So like I said, importantly, there's no change in behavior being taken into consideration. And compared, for instance, to trying to quit smoking or following a diet, the first 2 months you're very motivated and you don't smoke and you lose 5 kilograms or so, your target. But then the motivation goes away, or you reached your goal with a diet and you stop it. But if your behavior hasn't changed, you will relapse again into your old behavior and lose what you gained or what you lost quite quickly after that. It's a well-known effect. And like I said, emotions are very important. Haven't we all said to ourselves, I work really hard today, I don't feel like cooking, let's order some takeout. But also your social environment is very important. If you're a teenager and you see all of your teenage friends drinking energy drinks, why shouldn't you also drink energy drinks? Well, and that's where cognitive behavioral therapy comes in. That is a psychotherapy that takes a practical approach to problem solving. It's there, the goal is to change patterns of thinking or behavior that are behind people's difficulties and choices. It's been proven to be quite successful in, for instance, quitting to smoke. And now we are applying it to improving people's eating behavior. So with that, it's really our vision that people of all ages can learn and maintain a healthy behavior and basically live a healthy life. And to that end, our mission is to take this proven cognitive behavioral therapy approach and turn it into a game changer technology and make it widely available to all, so that in the end, a long-lasting future-proof solution will be delivered. So we're developing a product that makes use of the advent of machine learning technology in the connected world. It's an algorithm that we are incorporating into an app front end, which is able to understand and predict each individual's eating behavior. And with that data, it also can generate personalized intervention at vulnerable moments. And that is basically what cognitive behavioral therapy is. And we've proven scientifically that it's effective in adults. And we're now extending it also for use in children. So we're making a gamified app with real specialized people in the backend, making it really personal. You can really reach out to them, to coaches, to dietitians if you need their help. And also we're making this very personal in that we're stimulating the community feeling. What works for one family or what doesn't work for one family can be shared with other families so that they might improve their behavior as well. And on the one hand, through the business model, we're delivering this to clinical caregivers. And on the other hand, we want to also add or enter the prevention market. And that we do through large societal players like supermarkets, which ensures a large reach and a big impact. And also that the product will be free for everyone to use. And through that setup, you can also develop a rewarding strategy for using the app frequently enough and well enough to save points for discounts on healthy products or visiting a match of your favorite sports team with your class, for instance. Well, the awareness part is all about fun facts, nice reads, gamified educational elements for parents and children, and just from the fact that you can learn from all other people out there that are in the same program as you. I want to share with you some screenshots of what we've been developing. A lot of avatars that you can personalize, that can change over time, that you can use to track what you eat and monitor your overall performance. So it's not just about what you eat or entering what you eat, it's also about what were you doing? Were you at school or were you doing sports? Did you do that alone or with friends? And what were your emotions? How were you feeling? Were you cheerful or were you sad or were you anxious? And you can track your progress, and in the future, ideally, it would just taking a photograph of your plate to track what you've been eating for convenience. So to wrap up, our short-term strategy is to deliver our product to the clinical caregivers that work with obese children, already during the inpatient phase of their treatment, but definitely also during the outpatient phase, to remain in contact with their patient, to be able to monitor and at some point be in contact with them. And the fact that shows that this is high-value care is because if it's successful, it will prevent the relapses and the readmissions. It will prevent children from becoming obese adults. And in that case, it prevents double healthcare costs. And well, while we're at it, we're also helping the parents of those children at the same time. Longer term, we will go more in the prevention side of things through the large societal players, making this available to all consumers, overweight or not, to improve their eating behavior. I'm very glad to be in this consortium with our project partners, and I'm glad to acknowledge the support by EIT Digital and EIT Health in this project financially. And the venture that we will be setting up will be with myself and my colleague Sandra Gustek, who is a psychologist and a coach. And with that, that is my last slide, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have. And if you feel the need to pop me a message, you can see my email address there at the bottom. Feel free to pop me a message anytime. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lars, for this very, very interesting conversation. We're now starting into our question and answer section. So invite the audience again you have a bottom question and answer at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to type in your question and we will address it. So while we wait for the audience to type in the question, Lars, I have very, very, very important point you touch about behavior, how this is an aspect that is innovative and not touched by existing solution. And we cannot identify to this comfort food, and in this confinement situation at the moment, people at the end of the year is coming close. People are not feeling too happy, and indeed, reaching out for comfort food is an easy. It's an easy thing to do. If it becomes an habit beyond that, then it can definitely lead to have an healthy impact on your health, and this is where it's very important. So I have a question about obesity. Obesity is such a large domain. You're dealing with. You show that impact on obesity and being overweight at younger age can have an impact into a later stage in life. Is there any specific part, section, or of obesity that you're targeting? There's overweight, there's clinically obese, there is obesity itself, there is a genetic factor. Any particular part that you're targeting?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, very good question. Indeed, in these confinement or quarantine or what have you situations, the differences between people become very obvious. I mean, there's a lot of people that swing completely to the healthy side and exercise more and those kind of things. And there's another group of people that swing to the exact opposite side and indeed become more sedentary, sit more during the day, and also maybe turn to food for comfort indeed. Well, eventually we will be targeting all people, whether they are overweight or not. So that's on the one hand treatment and on the one hand prevention. But we'll be focusing first on the treatment side and predominantly first for the children that are morbidly obese. So those are the children that end up in the clinical situation and are in need of treatment. And I think there we can have the most value. And at the same time, I think it's also the right place to introduce our product, because it will also build confidence. It will build trust, which is something very important in digital technology. And it will deliver proof of its effectiveness. So that makes for much better arguments also to enter the prevention side of this market. Indeed. Thanks. Oh, you're on mute, Alexis.
Oh, apologies. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for this. As you mentioned, you mentioned about prevention. You mentioned about in your last slide that you're targeting the caregivers and the clinician that are already bringing food and caring for people with obesity issues, and you are working in collaboration with them. Do you have, can you elaborate on this? Do you have a particular support, key opinion leaders, any partners within this community of EIT Health or outside that will help you bring this product to markets and the uptake, getting this product to be used?
Yes. Yeah. No, very much. I mean, that's one of the perks of operating within the ecosystem of EIT, and in this case, even more because it's a combined ecosystem with digital and with health. It's the ideal combination of expertise and network to be developing such a product. And through that network, we have in our consortium several clinical experts who already work with the morbidly obese children and also work with cognitive behavioral therapy. So that's very important, because I think that also sets us apart from any other initiatives out there. And that is because we are developing our product taking into consideration the need of the eventual user, the need of the caregivers in this situation. So that really makes our product compliant with all the requirements of the professionals. So it's really a market pull situation rather than a technology push situation, where you see that people develop technology and then look for an application or look for a market. And that's not the right way around in my book. So doing this really from a market pool situation, including already from this very early beginning, the professionals, the ones that know this best and the one that know best where the need is. That's the right way to do it. And I think the ecosystem within EIT is very helpful in that situation.
Very good, thank you. So you're saying that it's going to be totally free. It's going to really learn from the user. What works from one family may not work for the other. This cognitive behavior, this building algorithm that will build and provide work with the user. When can we hope for this product to be reached? To reach the market is just starting. As a reminder, the project just started this year in January. And if I understand, you mentioned you're targeting everyone, but also the clinician. What is in terms of timeline, we can expect to see a first prototype on the market?
Yeah, excellent point. Well, we have our first version of the technology of the app ready. I actually have it on my phone. Okay. And we're doing a small field test with children just to collect their user feedback now. Just showing, okay, I don't like the position of this button, or I'm in need of an avatar that does such or so. Those kind of things, user feedback. And in 2021, we will start doing a larger clinical trial with the network partners in our consortium. So for the first time there, our product will be used in the treatment of obese children. I guess half a year to 1 year from now, we will be rolling it out to other clinics in Europe. I think particularly Netherlands, Belgium, France, Germany, UK will be our first targets. And I envision that it will take a year and a half from now before we will see this introduced in the prevention market. So I think already a year and a half from now, you might come across it at your supermarket.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic. Well, we're very much looking forward to it, Lars. Very well.
Okay.
So with this is in a year and a half, so that brings us to summer 2022, and I think you have all the in several countries, UK, France, Germany, and that's fantastic. Well, thank you very much for this session. That brings us to the end of our show today. We will. And so thank you very much for joining. I would like to remind our audience that there are other Meet the Innovator sessions in the next few days. Log on to our website and download the agenda and the program. Thank you very much, Lars. If you have any question that may pop your head today or later on, you may reach Lars at the number at the email on your screen. Thank you very much again. Stay safe and stay connected. Thank you.
Thanks. Cheers.
Bye-bye. Ciao.